Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Car, and we have to begin this video by talking about literature. Bear with me, it'll make sense in a second. If you're fond of 19th century Victorian literature like I am, or even if you're not fond of it, you probably have heard of Oscar Wilde, and you've probably heard about a story called The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's a story of a gentleman who looks very young despite being very old, and basically we find out that he has a picture or a portrait that is underneath, that is hiding in his house, that's aging while he's staying young. This video is not about staying young, it's about cars, so worry not. But there's something very interesting that the author said about the portrait of Dorian Gray. There are three characters in that novel that are meaningful. There is Dorian Gray himself, there is a lord who's a friend, and then there's the author, or rather one of the main characters of the who's kind of the protagonist. And Oscar Wilde said that those three characters represented three things. One of them is what people thought, who people thought Oscar Wilde is. I think Dorian Gray represented what people thought Oscar Wilde was. Then there's one which Oscar Wilde said, this is what I think I am, one of the characters. And the last character is the one that Oscar Wilde says, this is who I actually am. There's also a meme on the internet about this, for who people think you are, who you think you are, who you actually are. This is the origin of that meme, actually, that you may see on the internet. Now, what does it have to do with cars? When it comes to cars, if you're like me, you're a petrolhead. You have given the idea of cars, what car suits you, what car you like, what car you don't like. You've given this topic immeasurable thought. Immeasurable thought. You think about it every day. It's an obsession. Every day you're thinking, maybe I'd like this, maybe I'd like that, maybe I'd want to buy something else. Maybe something else will suit me rather nicely. And for me, when people know that I like cars, they often tell me, oh, you must like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Supercars. What I thought I liked, which has been kind of the focal point of my entire automotive journey until I finally got the car, what I have thought I would like since I was about maybe under 18 years old, even before I could drive, I always thought that I would like the BMW M5, right? That was literally, even now I think of cars in context of the BMW M5. I just can't help it. It's just always been the car that I thought that I would like. And I owned an M5. You've seen a lot of videos on this channel about the M5. And I've owned and I've driven a few of them as well now. And as I come to a stop here, I have to say, the car that people think I like, the Ferrari, is not the car that I like. The car that I thought I should like, the M5, is not the car that I actually like. The car I actually like, and the car that, now that I have owned it, I am pretty clear that my hypothesis is very correct. The car that I actually like is this car. This is a short wheelbase 6-cylinder BMW 7 Series. This particular one is the G11, and the 740i with the B58 engine. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you are like me, if you're a petrol head who loved the idea of a super sedan like the M5, and now you are more mature than you might imagine, right? For me, I've had my driving license for now, 22 years. So I've had my time of having fast cars, having very overtly sporty cars. I've been there, done that. If you're like me, if you're a maturing petrol head, you might just think that this car, a short wheelbase 7 Series with a 6-cylinder, classic 6-cylinder BMW engine, could be the best car for you. Now let's get into why, right? And of course, this is all based on personal perception. The kind of cars you like, what you aspire towards, is all based on your experience. If you've never driven a fast car in your life, you've never driven a sporty car in your life, you've never owned an M car, by all means, such cars hold maximum appeal to you, right? It's very normal. You kind of aspire to a lot of things when you have not tried them yet. But when you've tried everything that you need to try, and I have to make sure I turn left here before I forget, otherwise you'll have longer chat with me than would be appropriate. When you've tried everything, when you know what's what, your opinions are not informed by motoring journalists or dreams in your head. Your opinions are informed by real life experiences that you have done. Then you start to see what's really what. And what I've realized is that even an M5, let's go with the extreme case. Any supercar, you do not want a supercar as a daily driver. You just don't. They are incredible for, that particular moment in time when the roads are free, or you have a very good piece of road, or you're going on some sort of short journey, because long journeys, they can be very tiresome. Supercars are great for that. Then you might think something like a super saloon, like an M5, is amazing. And I used to think that as well, until the real experience of owning one made me realize that a super saloon is ultimately compromised as a comfortable item. It's reasonably comfortable, don't get me wrong, but it is not as comfortable as a normal car. And as you become a maturing petrolhead versus a young and rearing petrolhead, you start putting a premium on comfort, because comfort is important too. This doesn't mean that you just want to waddle around doing nothing. You still want to enjoy whatever you want to enjoy, but you need that at least better than average bit of comfort. Then you kind of feel good about your choices. Otherwise, if you're just feeling uncomfortable all the time, like look at me right now, I went to a horrible bump, but as good as it could be. If I had gone over this in my M5, goodness knows, I know my wife has complained about it enough. So you want better comfort than average. If you're getting an expensive car, you want things to be better. And comfort, unfortunately, ride quality is something that affects you all the time when you're driving a car. Versus, say, the absolute power that you only notice when you really gun for it. So a certain level of comfort is a prerequisite. When you look at it like that, that's when something like this starts making a lot of sense. Because what you have with a 7 Series short wheelbase, remember I keep going back to short wheelbase and I go back to 6-cylinder engine. This is a very unique sweet spot, because short wheelbase, particularly nowadays with all the technology that we have, this particular generation, the G11, has 4-wheel steering, and this particular generation is very light. It's as lighter than a BMW F10, BMW M5. So when you have that combination of agility and lightweight with the luxury that you would expect from an S-Class or a 7 Series, combined with what is a classic BMW trait of 6 cylinders, because remember this, as we stop the car, the classic BMW engine is a 6-cylinder engine. It's not a V8. The V8 on the M5 was only created because for the E39 M5, they wanted a V8 for the American market, because Americans are obsessed with V8s. And BMWs do V8s okay, but they don't do it as incredibly well as they do 6 cylinders, particularly say the B58 and this one. So when you have a super luxurious car that has great ride quality, it has some agility, as much agility as an M5, frankly, because they tend to be lighter than M5, 7 Series short wheelbases. When you have that agility of a big car, of a comfortable car with agility and with the luxury that surrounds you, then when you compare it to something like an M5, you're like, okay, 90% of the time, I am just toodling around. 10% of the time, I'm on it. But given how fast M5s and super saloons are these days, I'm never fully on it unless I want to go to jail. So for being slightly on it, or for toodling around, and yet having fun because you still can hear that 6-cylinder sound, you can still enjoy rear wheel drive when you get into a turn, you can just put a bit of throttle, feel the back end pushing you out. How the hell is a M5 preferable to something like this? And that honestly is the reason why I sold my M5 and I got this, because I had a long wheelbase which was so decent to drive already. I had a hypothesis that the short wheelbase being even smaller, having decent ride quality even with 21 inches on this one because of air suspension, still having the power because of stage 1 in this particular car, making more than 400 horsepower in a 1700 kilo car, so well over 250 bhp per ton. It would kind of do it. And as I've had this car for a month now, I've realized, yes, my hypothesis is indeed correct. But there's always a but. So to understand my ownership experience of the car so far for this one month, and to also understand the but, let's step out of the car. Let's begin this by understanding what I've had with the car so far. I've had it for 1 month. It's currently done 91,897, and I got the car at, I'm looking it up over here, 90,841. And actually it's been a touch less than a month, because I got this car, I believe, on the 20th, and today is the 16th, so almost a month, call it that. One of the key reasons I got this car is it had full service history, despite being a 2017 model. Another tip for you guys is how you check service history in a BMW. Service history, so full service history all the way till, what is this, 10th of June 2025, and starting all the way in 17th April, even before the car was registered, because this car was registered on 26th April 2017. So that's it. I'm going to switch off the car. Let's run you through what I got done on the car, because as with any car, I always get things done. So I've put in about 4,000 Singapore dollars into it. 1,400 of it is the stage 1 tune, but say $2,800, and that is basically getting the most important things done. Engine oil filter. This is a part that can potentially go out in the B58, so you have to get it done. Then the oil filter housing assembly is the part that you need, that goes, it's about $600 over there. Heat management module, coolant fluid, few bits here, and the side mirror, the driver's side mirror was not working properly, so that was another few hundred, $300, $400. The thing that I want to talk about is how much space do you really need in a saloon, because the long wheelbase is great, but this 7 Series is very interesting because it's not very spacious on the face of it, because you see the legroom, it is about the same as the 5 Series. I have measured this because I have a G30 5 Series. The knee room is exactly the same. The difference comes in the height of the squab, because this height is taller, and the car in general is taller than the 5 Series. So this indeed, if you were wondering that, am I getting something for my money when I get a 5, 6, 7 Series versus a 5 Series in terms of space, and I'm talking about a short wheelbase here, you are. You get a reasonable amount of space, and then having this rear package where you have this beautiful screen, which I rarely use. In fact, I've never used it, but it's got everything on it. I think I need to switch on the car to see it. Having this entire accoutrement of this centered armrest, all of this fancy stuff, having the seats being adjustable, as you can see over here, and it gives it a feeling of above the M5. And the reason that you have a saloon is that you want to have passengers now and then, and passengers should be happy, not miserable, and that's where this really is a step up. Other thing very important to audio people like me, because I am also a guitarist and a musician, is that the Harmen Karden system in this, which you can see, you've got speakers on the door pockets, you've got the tweeters, you've got the main speaker behind the dashboard, you've got speakers over here for the back doors as well. And here's another thing you get on a 7 Series, you have speakers behind the rear passengers' heads. So the kind of sound quality you get in this compared to any ordinary 5 Series, maybe if you upgrade to the Bang & Olufsen in the M5, it may be decent, good enough. But compared to a normal 5 Series, and I know this because my 540i had a Harmen Karden as well, the sound system in this is of a different league. So it keeps kind of going back to what is my usual use case. My usual use case is I'm driving in the city. Sometimes I go to the highway, sometimes I go to the expressway. I do get a chance to accelerate, and this is where the B58 engine with 400 plus horsepower makes this a sub 4.5 second car, so it's fast enough. It's at the edge of rear wheel drive power, that it's not like the F10 M5 that you overwhelms the rear wheels. It kind of has just enough power that it can break traction control, but just a little bit, which is perfect, because anything more than that is unusable rear wheel drive power. So that bit is great. Also, the other thing is, one thing people like me like about M5s is how they look. And the short wheelbase 7 Series looks incredible, especially with these 21-inch OEM wheels. I mean, obviously it is no M5, but it is very, very sporty looking, particularly in Azurite black with the blacked out exhausts, M Sport package. It's a muscular looking thing. I'm not, as a lot of you on this channel know, I'm not a fan of these M badges. But what I will say is that they do not look out of place on this car. This, together with the M sills, you know, my feelings on having this on non-M cars. But they don't look out of place. So, if one of the reasons why you like having an M card is you like the subtle aggressiveness of the M car's styling, this car has that in spades as well. So I'm not losing out. It's not an M5, but it has that aggressive styling. And this era of BMW, of course, is particularly nice. So I really think, as I turn this around to myself, I really think that if you think you want an M5 and you're a little bit older, like you've been driving for 20 years, 25 years, and you've mostly driven normal luxury cars and you think you'll get an M car, you can get it, try it out, but I suspect that you'll probably end up somewhere like this. And honestly, this particular car, the G11 7 Series, has no equivalent, because what is an equivalent to this car? Short wheelbase S-Class doesn't really exist. It's not as sporty, much heavier. Bentley Continental GT Flying Spur is a long wheelbase. Continental GT is a coupe, also much heavier. S-Class coupe, much heavier and less interior space. S8 does not have a short wheelbase. Or does it? I'm not sure. S8 doesn't have. I'm not really sure. Maybe the S8. But then again, you're getting into V8 territory and you're getting into very different price points. 540i, its younger brother, completely different beast. The 7 has a sense of luxury and certain ride quality because of the air suspension that you just can't get on a non-air suspension car. Yeah, I struggle to think of anything. And the thing that makes this particularly interesting is the B58 engine, because the B58 engine makes such light work of any amount of car, and particularly a lightweight large car, only 17 to 50 kilos. This is a fast feeling car, so it does this magic trick of feeling incredibly fast and agile with the B58 and the 4-wheel steer and the lightish weight. Yet because of the air suspension and the adaptive suspension in a straight line, it has that crazy speed mask. The thing I have to describe with this car is the speed mask. And maybe that's a criticism. I talked about the butt right at the beginning of the video. The main criticism is that it delivers its power in such an incredible way. And because it's so refined, it has double glazed windows, being a 7 Series. You kind of noticed yourself going ahead of all the traffic, but you don't realize how you got there. It's kind of this crazy time warp kind of feeling where you just prod the accelerator slightly, you hit the speed limit within 2 or 3 seconds here in Singapore easily, and you're not even trying, you're not doing a traffic Grand Prix, it just has that much power. And you look behind you, you look at the rearview mirror, and all the traffic is basically where they started, and you are like in a different zip code. Which is a magic trick of this car, but also the car does not give you a sensation of speed. So the speed mask of this car is incredible, which is a criticism. In a perfect world, you would have this and you'd have like a convertible, which has the opposite of speed mask, because you can feel everything, right? Because as guys, sometimes you do want that excitement of really feeling the speed, even if the speed is not that much. In fact, it's safer to feel more speed than it actually is at. So that's where this car doesn't deliver. It will always give you the performance, but without that much drama. But if you want drama and excitement, it's there. This is not a sterile car. This handles incredibly well. The B58 engine has a beautiful subtle growl. So you won't be disappointed, but you will not get that crazy excitement. But that's the thing. You don't want crazy excitement all the time in your daily driver. And that's why as a daily driver, I struggle to think of something better than this. And this is the reason why, because I need a daily driver. In Singapore, I only have one car and one for my wife. For my daily driver, this is why I prefer this. And I sold the M5 to get this 7 Series short wheelbase.